Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to Bitovi, Solving Advent of Code. So here at Bitovi, we're experts in front-end development. That includes Angular, React, Node.js, DevOps, project management, UX, and more. If you find yourself in need of application development help, reach out for a free consultation by emailing contact@bitovi.com or visiting our website at bitovi.com. Also, check out our new Discord channel in the chat. Today I'm joined by none other than Ben Burgess at Moody's. So first of all, thanks, Ben. Thanks for coming on the stream. How are you doing?
Doing well. I'm excited.
Awesome. For the audience, would you be able to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and how you found yourself in this situation.
Sure. Yeah, Ben Burgess. I've been in software development forever. I don't know, 30 years maybe in the industry, starting from like high school, my first job writing code for some insurance company. Um, but but yeah, I've been in financial services the whole time. So I find myself these days working at Moody's, working on some pretty interesting stuff. Uh, I've Early in my career, I did a lot of automation and DevOps type stuff, but lately been doing more architectural type common framework development, that kind of thing. So uh, my wheelhouse is typically more of the Java space, but I've played in tons of different languages. Yeah.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. Um, w- so, yeah, I guess when it comes to something like Advent of Code, so usually problems come out at midnight Eastern time, and you get a star for solving it, and 25 problems, each one with two parts. Have you ever done something like this before?
I have. Yeah, I've definitely messed with Advent Code in the past. This year, I've been following along with it mostly, although I haven't done it all the days. I purposely skipped this days. In fact, technically, I skipped like 5 and 6 because I couldn't remember which one we were going to do. So I actually have not actually looked at the problem at all. Um, but yeah, I've done some of the ones before this and some of the ones after this year. But in years past, yeah, I've definitely played with them. I love, like, in fact, my love of programming, I think, started in like 6th grade. We did I don't know if you've ever done anything like this, like logic puzzles, where it'll
Mm,
give you a paragraph of text and be like, Paul and George are at a candy store. Paul likes candies that are red. George, and it gives you like a series of facts, and then it gets to the end and it asks you the final question of like, what are the 3 types of candy or whatever, what type of candy is Paul's favorite, and so it's all like trying to puzzle out and put together the facts, and that's kind of, I love that kind of thing, like teaser trouble problem, problem solving and that kind of thing. So yeah, I love having fun.
nice, nice. And when it comes to Advent of Code, and this kind of hops into the next question, what kind of language do you typically find yourself solving the problems in?
I typically fall back on Java just because that's what I know best. This year I've been doing it different though than a lot of previous years, um, because I've been doing a lot more functional instead of just traditional imperative style programming. And so I've been using Project Reactor, which so these days, right, enterprise Java development is almost synonymous with Spring framework, and so Spring reactive programming is all based on Project Reactor. So I've been using Project Reactor for a lot of the functional programs. So that's kind of new this year, but yeah, usually Java.
Nice, nice. Um, so then I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that your favorite programming language is in fact Java.
Yeah, or a variation of it. I mean, I love the JDK languages, like things like Groovy or one of my favorite is Clojure. It's kind of an
Ooh,
obscure one, but it's good for big data processing. I like it because back in the day I was a committer for the Ant project. I don't know if you ever heard of Apache Ant, right? So the thing that always messed up, like on the support forums, people would ask questions all the time because Ant is meant to be immutable for the most part, and so that concept of like a immutable, you know, scripting and language like blew people's minds. And so that's part of the reason why I like Clojure, because it's a completely immutable language built on the JDK. But yeah. So but yeah, definitely the JVM, JDK based languages are probably my favorite, just because I know them the best.
Nice. Um, so today, we'll be solving it in TypeScript. How do you feel about that relative to the JDK?
It'll be interesting. Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of pseudocode translation into TypeScript. I mean, I like the concept. Of course, coming from the Java perspective, TypeScript is like, taking the total utter chaos, which is JavaScript, and bringing some order to it. So I like TypeScript in general, right? Takes it closer to the Java space that's fully typed. But so yeah. Hopefully, we'll see. As I was starting to dig into some of the functional methods and functions that are available in typical JavaScript world, it's kind of lacking from what I'm used to in like Project Reactor and Java. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe some of the really powerful stuff might not be there, but I don't know. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Yeah, sounds good. And then I noticed you have headphones on. So when it comes time for programming, do you find yourself listening to something while you program?
I do actually.
Yeah.
I have to have several things going on at once to keep my brain focused. If it's like a quiet dark room or something, like my brain starts wandering in 15 directions, and I'm like, I can't. I've got it's like a multi-threaded machine, and so I got to keep the threads, so I have to have distractions for some of the threads. That's kind of how I work, at least. So I've got to have like something playing in the background, something visually moving on over here. I don't really pay attention to them, but it just like it allows me to focus on it's very counterintuitive, I guess, but that's how I work. So office environment works well with people pinging on the left and emails coming in and then talking to you and stopping by. Like that's my happy space for coding in a way.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. Um, so then, last last question as we wrap up this part and kind of get into the advent of code part. So I'm curious, what is your favorite code editor and why is it VS Code?
So I actually have been using VS Code a bit lately, even for Java.
Ooh,
I forget what conference I was at. I was at some conference a few years ago in Las Vegas, and the Azure developers from Microsoft were on the stage talking about Java development. And actually, it might have been at Spring One in San Francisco. I can't remember. Anyway, somewhere, and it was like, kind of weird, like, that Microsoft had this whole team focused on Java, and but it was super impressive, and it was really cool the way you could tell, like they really got it, like focused on open source and like just the way they were thinking about the problems, and I mean it was pretty cool. So um, I have actually used VS Code quite a bit with like the Spring Boot extension that plugs right in to do Java development. You can even run the like traditionally, I'm more of an Eclipse person just because that's old school. I never really liked NetBeans, and I really need to move to IntelliJ. I have it available, and yet every time I try to do it, I can never get myself used to it, and I always fall back to Eclipse. I just like the idea of being able to just write my own plugin, and I
mm,
can make it do exactly what I want versus closed source IntelliJ. But I haven't gotten that far with VS Code, though. It's kind of at the point where it works, but I've never really tried to write my own plugins or anything.
nice. Cool. Um, so then, on to the problem. Have you had a chance to look at the problem at all?
I have not. I purposely have not looked at the problem.
Okay. Well, it sounds interesting, for sure. So up on the screen, I'm sharing our live share for VS Code, and to the right, the Advent of Code Day 6 problem. Um, so it sounds like, just giving this a quick read through, um, the elves are giving us this handheld device, something about a communication system. and the elf is talking about how he's heard that we have significant experience dealing with signal-based systems. So if I just check on this, I think each one of these is a link. So that is day 6 in 2016, day 25, also in 2016. It looks like there's been quite a few problems here that have been around those signal processing. So, have you ever done any signal processing type development?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I started my master's degree in like computer networking and stuff, and it was all like zeros and ones coming over the wire and handling them and decoding it and that kind of stuff. So
Oh, nice, nice. Well, maybe if there's time, if we solve this problem super fast, I'd love to dive more into the master's program and how that kind of went for you and different things you studied. Um, so yeah, as we go through the problem, it sounds like the device we've been given has some errors around locking onto the signal. So it's up to us to fix it. So we need to find a start of packet marker. Um, so I'm just going to copy this, put it in the code, just so we have it as a quick reference. Oh, yeah, I already added that part. There we go. So yeah, in the protocol, the start of the packet is indicated by a sequence of 4 characters that are all different. Um, and then it kind of gives an example with that I've already copied into an array here. So when when you hear a problem like that, so like looking for 4 characters that are all different, um, what kind of patterns or tactics are kind of popping into your head?
um, so far, I'd say um, I've been able to solve the advent of code problems using one of 3 ways, right? There's either, or you could add the fourth, but it's the inelegant solution, right? Which is like just purely imperative brute force type hack away at it. And usually the second part of the problem is built to punish you if that's what you did on the first part. At least that's how it seems, right? They're like purposely. The, the, the second way, I guess, would be the functional style of treating it as data that you're processing. So already this seems to fit into that style, the more data processing functional style solution. That's my guess, which is
Mm.
good because that's the most fun, I think. Um, the next type of solution would be pattern matching or regex hell. Um, and that's always fun too. Um, but I'm not quite sure how you, well, maybe you could probably do this with regex, but it would be pretty difficult. And then I guess the last one would be like object oriented. There's been a few this year. I think some of the ones that come later, I forget which days it was, like that object oriented seemed the way to go, so to speak. This doesn't seem like much of an object oriented solution though. This seems like a functional stream of data processing.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely getting that kind of feeling. Um, Between that, I think it kind of comes down to between something functional where we're kind of iterating over each character, kind of
Mm-hmm.
doing that like sliding window and then checking if like the
Exactly.
next character exists and all of that. Um, and I think there's actually a way that we can take that type of character matching with a that kind of sliding window within regex.
Interesting. So would you like create groups and then can you reference those groups or something?
Yes.
So
Yes, it
like, would it
can.
be here? I'm gonna just start writing. I don't know what's the best way to create a variable. I know it's not var these days. Is it let?
Yep. Yep. Let.
Let give it a name. My regex. Terrible. So it'd be something like, and I don't know. You have to start it with this and stuff, or it doesn't really matter. So you'd probably do something like, I guess, do we know these are all characters? I guess it doesn't really matter. We can just do like a dot star type of a thing, followed by a group of single character of some sort, maybe, followed by a second group, which would be, and then here's where, can you do something like not one or something like
Yeah.
dereference group one? Is that how you do it? Something like that?
Yeah. So if I get
Followed.
what you're saying, I'm going to do something just down here. So I'm going to create uh, a fake string and do some testing. So I think if we have something that looks like a, something like this, and then with JavaScript, it's going to be something like fake string dot. We're going to do the match, and then this is expecting that regex. So if I take something similar to this, and then so with it just
Okay.
needs the slashes.
Flashes. Yeah.
Um, so I don't think we need this because I think we're just going to look for the first character.
Okay.
Um, and then this not, there's something, so like just for the people on stream and that, when you wrap something within a regex within parentheses, you're essentially doing a capture group. So whatever is within those parentheses, you can then reference, and like you can see how Ben referenced it over here. But I think for the not, we're going to do something called a zero width negative assertion. So we're going to make sure that this character is not followed by the same character. So I'm thinking that this should pull S and D as the first solution, as the first match in this. So I'm just going to go console.log. So it is at index 1. So yeah, it's actually getting the
Okay.
AS.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that aside from like just adding more characters, that's roughly able to accomplish this. So like we are able to now, let's just, if I change this to AS, now it should be AS would be the first. Yeah. So
Index one. So yeah.
and now, yeah, it's going to still be index 1, but if I just do, so it looks like we're able to go with one unique. So if we were to continue the same kind of pattern and then keep that, uh,
You'd also want it to be not one or two, right?
or two, yeah, good catch.
And then and we're going to do the same thing, but not one or two or three. And then so this is good as long as our number is small, which is good.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to copy paste this one and then I'm going to add the or 3 and then I'm going to add the or not 3 or 4. So roughly the same thing, like it's that same select a character and then make sure it's not followed by the same character. So now in our fake string, the first one that has no repeating within 4 characters, is it SDF? ASDF. Oh, it's finding ASDF. Okay. Is that? Oh, okay. I think I. 1, 2, 3. I don't think we need this last one.
Oh, we went too far.
Yeah. Because I think now.
Yeah, now it's SDAF.
SDAF. Okay. So let's just try and like do a visual. Actually, they tell us in the problem. So for the first problem, it says the first time a marker appears is after the 7th character arrives. So the last 4 characters should be JPQM. So if we try the same regex on example 0, JPQM. So that sounds right. It's looking for the number. So this gives us an index of 3, but we'd want to add 4 to that because that's the length of the capture. So
Right.
I'm just going to.
You can just add a +4 at the end and
Yeah.
ship it. So that's interesting. The fact that the regex itself isn't a string, you just put the little slashes. So then if you did want to do it as a string, do you just have to like eval it somehow, or is there some like regex.parse method or something like that?
Yes. I'm going to have to. That's a good question. Famous last words. As long as the number of matches doesn't get too big. Yeah. I think this might. So it does work. Like the match method does take in a string. So you'd be able to just pass a string and it should.
Okay.
Console.log. So it. It's weird that it's a different. Oh, but I'd have to escape stuff probably.
Gotcha.
Whereas with the slashes, you don't have to do any of the escape.
Perfect.
I'm guessing would be these. Here, let me go.
Right, because you're escaping the string and you're escaping the regex. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so looks like 0 is correct. So let's just
try it for the others.
So that one, yeah, first marker after 5. So I'm just going to hop through these to, yeah, looks, so far it looks good. I mean, yeah. So if we wanted to test, like aside from how we're doing it right now, like we're doing a pretty manual testing on this, do you have any guesses or thoughts on if we wanted to like be able to provide some more explicit tests for this, how we'd be able to do that?
In TypeScript? Not so much. I mean, certainly in the Java world, you create your JUnits and get that all up and running, and it would look great. I have not, I see the spec files that get generated, like when you create a new Angular component and stuff. Not saying I've ever really done them or anything. It's always been a mystery to me, but I
Yeah.
imagine it can't be too different. Um, and at least in the Java space, there's like two different types of tests, right? There's I guess what you'd call like tabular data tests, where you have, you set up your test and then you give it like a series of expected inputs and a series of expected outputs. I don't know if that's a thing in
Yeah. I think what we can do is kind of copy some of this to a spec file. And I guess one of the things is if we wanted to try and be a bit more explicit with this so that like if we have to go back to this on a subsequent day that we don't kind of run into just looking at this regex and wonder what we built. I think we could do something like up here, do something like export function. What is this? Start of, let's do start of packet marker. So then pretty much what we're doing is we're just putting in data stream. That'll be a string, and we're going to return a number, which would be the index. It's yelling at me because it doesn't yet return a number. So if we were to do something like data, so pretty much what I'm doing is just taking this part and extracting it so that all we do is
call your method.
this. And then it's complaining because it might be undefined. So this is the, I always forget, null coalescing operator. So if this is this part turns out to be undefined, it's going to just use 0. So I can wrap that in parentheses just to make it a bit more. Then I'll return this instead. So what that lets us do is if we want to go into the spec file and write a test, pretty much what we've been doing thus far, we'd be able to just kind of redo that, but be a bit more explicit with what we're kind of expecting. So then if we do, here, let me hop back here. So I expect, then I'm just going to copy the input, like the sample data they gave us. So the packet marker. And then we want this to be, I think we can just do that, 5. So now if we run, oh, did I not save it? Debugger attached, running, oof, failed. Object, object possibly undefined. How is that? Oh, I wonder if I also need it here. Okay, so I'm just gonna hop back here. This is a number. I'll run it again. Oh, Octal escape sequences.
It could be a lot of the leftover junk we've got. Like at this point, right, we can get rid of a lot of that down
Yeah,
there, right?
yeah, I think so.
And
Okay.
then, in fact, even our console logs, and we could,
Yeah,
I guess in this case, if we wanted the function day06p1 to be, would you just literally on line 29, you just say return and then make a call to start a packet or something like that?
yeah, I think so. I think it would be, and then, okay. So then we'll just have to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
change that piece. But now our test should run. Oof. Okay. Expected 5, received 7. Ouch.
Did we copy the wrong one?
Oh, I copied the answer. So just uh, yeah, I copied the answer for the second problem.
There you go.
So it should now I'm pretty confident that this is working.
So now, because we have, 5 with this one that was embedded in the text itself, 5 possible inputs and known outputs, would you just duplicate lines in one test? Do you create multiple test methods?
Ooh.
How would you handle that here
Yeah,
in this text
so
file?
there's a couple options as you mentioned. So one of the things I go to is I go off of how it reads in the output. Because, like, if you're doing a deploy and the test fails, you want that output to kind of line up with what's actually failing. For
Sure.
something like this, well, one, it should um, get the correct uh, first marker on the data stream. So for something like this, each time we're doing this, so if I just copy this line and 2, 3, 4, and then kind of go here, start going through this. So this is the one that should have been 5.
Right.
Because really we're testing the same kind of
Yeah.
scenario. Like if we were to do like some edge cases, so that like make sure that it gets the very first 4, the last 4, and then also testing something like that if it doesn't find, like what if it's just a string that doesn't have, because really it's not like we're exercising the code any differently with each one of these expects. Ooh, that's gonna, so these are 10.
10 and 11.
Okay.
Numbers tree.
Yeah, so I think if we wanted to, we'd be able to add those more tests. But seeing these tests, so like our process kind of matches the solution um, for those. I have a pretty high degree of how is your confidence with what we've done here?
I am confident that we'll give the correct solution. Now, sometimes, right, they give you the initial, examples, and they're very teeny tiny. And then you go to look at the actual data, and it's not teeny tiny. So I'm not 100% certain how well, regular expressions perform in JavaScript if we had like several million lines of text.
Yeah, let's actually look at this. And let me do word wrap and see. It, it's a fair bit. It's
Yeah, it's
not
not
like
impossibly large. I think
War and
it'll I think
Peace.
it'll knock it out. We're,
Okay.
modern computers.
Okay. So now what we can do is change this to input. Um, so in input, that's just this data.ts where I've taken the puzzle input, just put it as I always have it as an array, just because lots of problems use arrays for the input, but this time it's just a string. So this time it's an output of 1,855.
And it was
I
pretty quick. It was pretty
yeah,
quick.
I can wonder how I can show. So if I go back to the terminal, um, I'll just make sure I'm running npm run build. That's one of the cool things about this plugin, the Quokka plugin, is I don't have to remember to run the build. But if I now go npm run exec, oh, right. I also have to change how main is running.
Uh,
6
61.
part 1. And then is that exactly what it's returning? Yeah, it's returning it. So now if I run it, 1855, yeah. That seemed pretty
Yeah,
quick.
I think that's pretty impressive.
Uh,
I was a little hesitant
cool.
with the whole pattern matching regular expression approach, but it actually pulled through pretty easily.
Okay. So 1855. I really hope it's right. Um, let's see. Okay. You can't see my screen. I guess if you're watching the stream, you'd be able to see it.
I have chat open.
Okay. It is successful. We were able
Yeah.
to get one gold star. But here's where we get to see where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah.
So problem two, I'm just going to give it a quick read over. So your device's communication system is correctly detecting packets, but still isn't working. Looks like it also needs to look for messages. A start of message marker is just like a start of packet marker, except it consists of 14 distinct characters rather than 4. So then it
Okay. And
uh,
and what's the expected output here? Is it still the index of the start of message?
yeah,
So the only difference is instead of 4 unique, we're now going for 14 unique.
yes.
So I mean, technically, we could just brute force this. We can just copy and paste a few more times, and we ship it. But maybe that's not quite as elegant.
Yeah.
Um, my next thought is, and it's pretty janky, but we could dynamically build the regular expression string itself and basically
Ooh.
programmatically do what we're manually doing, right? I mean, because essentially
Yeah.
all you do now is copy that segment, add a /4, copy it again, add a /5, right? I mean, we could programmatically copy it and add a /4, copy it and add it, and then tie them all together, and you get a string that you then parse as a regular expression and run the regular expression.
Yeah.
Um, that would be kind of fun to do. Maybe that's a first approach.
Yeah. I think that I like that. Um,
It's a little janky, but it'd be kind of fun.
yeah. So one of the things I'm going to do, because I've only ever used this up to 9. I don't know what happens when you go to the next.
Oh, if there's a
Um,
limit to the number of groups. Oh, good point. Can you? Because
yeah,
yeah, what happens if you do /10? Is it just looking for a /1 followed by a 0? How do you? Yeah, that's a good point. Will it allow 14 groups?
capture group um, over 9. Okay, I'm just going to do a search for 1. Nope, this one doesn't even have the
Start
optional
Google for
groups. Yeah, not that one. Institutions. I thought there's gotta be a way. Capture group. Okay, yeah.
Oh, interesting. What'd you find? I found an interesting idea.
Yeah,
When did you find?
I think it says Java, JavaScript, Python, no special syntax. Use -10 knowing that if group 10 is not set, Java will treat this as group 1, then a literal 0, while JavaScript will treat it as the elusive backspace character.
Okay.
So I wonder if I just go, like, we can just do a quick check. We don't have to go through and run all of that. But if I do, I'll do my console.log. I'm going to do example. So earlier, when you were talking about sometimes they like to punish people that do the,
Yep.
I think this is that punishment. 3, 4,
This
5,
could very
6,
well
7,
be.
8,
This could
9,
be.
10,
Um,
12. So then how am I going to
yeah, it's looking like several other languages have ways to define the group, but JavaScript / TypeScript might not. You might literally not be able to do more than group 9.
Okay, so if I do index, don't want just index. We can see what this is. S. Okay.
I guess I think it's saying that JavaScript will like 10 works. It's just if there isn't a group 10, in other words, if it sees a /10, it prefers that to mean group 10. But if there isn't a group 10, it'll
Okay.
just blindly treat it as group 1 followed by a 0.
Okay.
But in our case, there would be a group 10, 11, 12. So it should just work
Okay.
theoretically. It's just a little more ambiguous in JavaScript.
So actually, I'm gonna do this just so I don't mess with the actual input. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna put, so I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So then I should be able to do /12. Null. Oh. Mm, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. Yeah, I do not think it's going to get that 12. It's because what I'm trying to do. Actually, I think that might have been it. I think I forgot to change the index. So now if I do 12. Yeah, it works.
All right, hope's on the table. Our janky solution might just work.
Yeah.
Loving
So
it.
when you see a pattern like this, essentially we'll just have to build out this string. We'll have to remember the escape characters, which luckily we already ran into that earlier. But we'll have to somehow build this out. So
here's where I think the test really comes in handy with the spec, right? Like if our step one, let's just try to recreate the part one solution using the known good working, code. Like essentially we're going to change our start a packet marker function up there on line 4 to maybe call a sub function that generates the regular expression itself, right? Creates the string. So we can refactor that out.
yeah.
And it looks like Mr. Pickles, right? The new regex, and then you can just pass in the string and that turns it into a regular expression.
Yeah.
So that would be what we would return. I guess we could return it as a regex and then
yeah.
And then I assume using a regular expression object you call .match, it just reverses and you pass data stream into it. Maybe? Not sure.
Yeah, I think so. So for this, what we'd want, just going to copy this. I actually want to call get unique regex 4.
Right. And then, yeah, exactly. And really, we should take that number because we now on line 5, we now have the number 4 twice, right? One to pass in and then one at the end where we're doing the +4 to skip.
Right.
So it'd be good to pull that into like a constant or something. Or pass it in or something. Yeah. So that's the I don't know what that is. Unique size, character size or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Numbers. There we go. Okay. So yeah, getting just a little bit. And then here.
Paste in that regex. Or our original solution. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go return. Ooh. Okay.
And then on line 5.
5.
Get unique regex. So is that correct? So data stream.match and that takes in this string. And this is still functioning as of now?
Here, let me hop down here because now these consoles aren't really helping us.
Yeah, we can change them to just be references back. Or we can just call we can run our unit tests, our spec.
Yeah. I did change the file to day.
Right, we'll have to pass the
R2.
4 in now.
Yeah. So then I'm also going to do start on current file. Invalid regular expression. Okay, so it's using input, still got the same answer as in
1855.
1855. So yeah,
So
that
we haven't
looks
broken it
good.
yet. That's good.
Yeah.
Now we can keep refactoring and hopefully still not break it. Now what's interesting, okay, so if we look at this loop, if the number 4 is being passed in, we kind of skip, well, we're going to start always assuming size 1. I assume that the first part of that expression is pretty unique.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess we don't have to, but so if we're comparing each segment of the expression, so in other words, from if I'm going to break it for a second.
Yeah.
Right. We do like break it into these segments, right? Here seems to be where it naturally breaks. So actually, it ends with one of these. So do we want to end with one of those? Maybe we break here, right? And keep this at the end. So then we would move this over here. And then we just start with this. So this would be like the start. And then here would be the first built, and then the second iteration of the loop, and then the third iteration of the loop. So each time it's just adding another section like that to what was the problem is you can't, well, yeah. And then you close your iteration with your tail pattern.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Simple for loop string manipulation.
I think that makes sense. So if we go with something like just use a good old for loop, let I equal.
You can initialize it at 1. Right? Because we'll skip the first. And then we'll go from less than whatever the number passing in is, because we don't need, like in this case with the 4, we don't need a 4. We're just doing a 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So then before we just have our let regex equal.
It's not a reserved word or anything.
Nope. There's actually very few reserved words in JavaScript, and which is kind of neat. I think TypeScript will yell if I tried to use a TypeScript word. Oh,
Gotcha, that makes sense.
Maybe if it's only strict mode. And then
we can add our tail to the end, right? Because down at the bottom here, we'll have, and I assume you can do plus equals.
Yeah.
So the end of our characters will always be this. And actually, yeah. And then within each, I guess not really. This isn't a final character. That's within the iteration. So it's within here that we need this, right?
Yeah.
And then we want the start of it would be through there. Just one more. Okay, so x plus equals that. And then now it's just the middle part. Well, and actually, okay, so this, I'm not really doing it justice, am I? This, because this is the repeating part, because it needs to repeat that each time.
Yeah, so out of the options, we could do something like, I think up here, if we have like the let repeating equals nothing. And then I think if we keep the slashes out and then have something like repeating equals slash slash, I'm going to do slash.
We'll have to deal with the fact that the pipe.
And then regex S equals repeating. I think that would,
We're just missing.
oh, the or. Hmm.
So we've got the typical computer science, right? Like the where do you add the
So we could do something like if I is 1, return nothing else.
yeah, the little inline ternary.
But you also don't want it on the last one.
Well, either we can do it either way, right? Either the
Right.
start or the end. We can decide whether we're going to skip it at the start or skip it at the end. We either prepend it on all except the first, or we post-pend. What about the append? Append.
Right.
Why is it called append instead of post-pend? Post-pend, prepend, that makes sense, right?
Yes. So I think that would work. We would just have to do repeating.
Minus equals.
Oh, jeez. Right. We'll have to. Okay. Okay. I think I got it. No, I don't got it.
The jankiness, I love it. It's so inelegant. Actually, sometimes it is fun to like play like this and just get like really nasty. Like, how janky can I make it? Like dynamically building a regular expression in a for loop. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just trying to. I can see the iteration. So like the first iteration is right, but the next iteration, I want it to have that escape character. So I wonder if I do something like this. If we go instead, start at 2,
Actually,
and
you know what?
then
Yeah, yeah. The
have it have it as, well, 1, and then is it this part is the repeating?
that way we're always, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's easier, and then we can always prepend our or right there.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So then if we now return regex instead, then look at this. It looks like we got it.
Okay, so let's run our tests from the examples below.
Yes. Okay, I'm just going to go copy this.
Yeah, we might as well just copy the same test, and then the only difference is we've got to pass in a comma 4 to each of these.
Okay. And now we're going to import it from day 2. I'm going to go this. Okay, good thing we did those tests.
Yeah, they actually came in handy.
So now, yeah, it looks like Looks like we're
Did it work?
back. Yeah, it worked. We're kind of like back to the start, but now we have a method where we're able to put in whatever value. Um,
Yeah. Now, is with the day two text, does it have an embedded example?
the example is the same, but the answer is different. So
Okay,
I'm going to
let's
change
let's
this
try it.
to day one. Should day one work? Then actually, it's day
Yeah, day
six.
six P1. Yeah, there you go.
Day six P2 work. So all of these stay the same. All the
Really?
fours are now 14.
14.
And then this should be 19. This should be 23. 23. Should be 29. This should be 26. Okay. I'm gonna just run it and hope for the best. Ooh, skipped. Why did it skip it? Oh, right, yeah. It skipped part one. So yeah, it looks like it worked.
It answered and the answers line up.
Yeah, yeah. So I think
This is fantastic.
we can give it a shot.
Now we'll go back to the problem we had on the first one, or the worry that they've given us millions of lines in the actual data.
Well, and the problem data stays the same.
Oh, it stays the same as well. It's just a different answer.
Yeah.
Well,
So
see? So it should definitely work. I'm pretty confident.
yeah. I'm just gonna check here, and then I'm gonna change the main just and run it so we can see like how long it takes. 3256. It seems to be running pretty snappy.
Regular expression, right? We're just letting the browser do the work. Letting I say the browser because that's normally I think of when I think of running JavaScript. But
Yeah. Okay. Oh, let's go. Yeah. Go figure. That was the right one. Um,
not a super
bef
elegant solution, I don't feel, but it's
yeah. I feel like other people might have solved it differently, but one of the things I want to do is I want to go
to
just
see what the final regular expression looks like.
yeah.
It's
Kind of didn't.
got to be beautiful.
Oh, geez. That's what I wanted. Uh, there we go. Ah, it didn't. Here, let me try that again.
It's probably got a wrap, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey. It, the more I use regular expressions, the more I think that you can just solve any problem with them.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
like where that realm where computer science becomes art. You know, we've crossed over. This is art.
oh, yeah. You know, um, if it's crazy but it works, I don't think it's all that crazy. Oh, cool.
Uh,
Cool. So one of the things I like to do, and I think it'll be quite interesting today. I should be able to do this. So there's the awesome Advent of Code, which has all these different types of solutions from all these different languages and that. And I should be able to share uh, my screen to you. Just so you can see the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So if we go down to TypeScript and see, make sure it's somebody that did, I think most of these people, 12, 8, yeah. So let's go with somebody that's still going, a couple of these.
Just
Hop
compare
over to,
solution.
yeah,
My
see.
my initial thought was, rather than pattern matching regular expression, we'd go like functional character streams, right? And process streams would be, I don't know, some buffering, right? Like
Yeah,
creating a sliding window of size X in this case, um, and kind of checking to see is that sliding window of characters unique, uh, which would be pretty easy to do, I think. That would be my
yeah,
initial thought. That's probably how I would have written the solution in Java with Project Reactor. But
yeah.
I kind of like the janky, artistic regular expression solution. Um,
It kind of does feel like knowing
cheating.
about a hammer and every problem being solved with a hammer.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
we got that screw in. We just hit it really hard with the hammer, and bam, that screw is through, and it's not coming out.
yeah. Oh man. I have no idea what this is doing. Like reading this, I'm trying to read it and it like just uh, I've never even seen a for loop that starts with a semicolon.
Wait, I'm
I
not
I
seeing
guess.
that.
Oh, am I on a different? Oh, okay. Here, can go.
Oh, is it because it? Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think I went to the wrong tab. TypeScript. This guy. Day 6. Then I can. I guess it's just the let. I don't know why he would take the let j equals 1 outside of the for loop. Oh, maybe.
It's a double
Yeah.
for loop. Yeah.
And it compares.
Yeah, this is the imperative brute force solution.
Yeah.
Uh, pretty not very elegant, I'd say. Um, it's kind of similar to our janky solution, but without the art. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I
not
think
as
that's
artistic
fair.
as ours, but it's still pretty janky. I don't know.
I,
I've really fallen out of favor as I've fallen in love with functional programming, reactive style programming. Yeah, I've kind of fallen out of favor with imperative. I always look to see if I can do it functionally.
I think we've checked out this one a couple times. Some of the previous days. Source, part 1.
Here we
Ooh,
go.
slide
Slide
window.
window. What in the world is slide? So that's kind of what I was talking about. I just didn't. Where is he finding this slide window function? How have I not seen slide window?
That might be
Is it a
something that,
library or a prototype added somewhere?
yeah, I think that's custom to
Okay,
this
some
person.
polyfill. Array polyfill. There you go. A slide window. See, this is now we're kind of getting more in line with what you can do with Project Reactor. You can do windows like this. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess with a nice polyfill like this, now
Wow.
it's this is kind of wow. This is quite the Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
I love it. Yep.
Read out prototype, window size. Oof.
it makes sense. I mean, it's this is clean. This is kind of what I was thinking is more of the elegant.
Yeah, oof, there is quite a lot of code in this.
Yeah, this is. So is this one of the top quick responses? Is that what that is?
That would be a good question. We can see
Because that's how
actually.
I imagine a lot of those really fast responses. You know, the top 100, they've got libraries of polyfills and things like this that they've built up over time, right? And they're just they have it all in their head ready to go. So whatever the problem is, they can just piece together their solution.
Yeah, I can double check. So we were on this person's Alex Aegis. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna share the window. So as I switch tabs, that's visible. Okay, so like here's the leaderboard, and if I search, they didn't make it into the top 10 or top 100. Maybe if I see
I mean, if you look at
stars.
the times on these guys, you know, we're
Yeah,
talking 1 minute, you know, 2 minutes after midnight, they have the solution. And, you know, that's why I'm saying they have to have just libraries of helper functions ready to go. So whatever the problem is, they can just tap into it.
yeah. I thought there was a way to see how we fare. Uh, it's under stats. Okay, well these are just. It's kind of interesting to see the the descent, the
Yeah.
gradient on how many people are being able to solve both. Because like day one was the first star was quite a lot, and it's down to 16,000. So
That's really not that many people. That kind of surprises me, actually.
yeah, yeah. So cool. Oh man, one of the guys I always like watching in this when we look at the leaderboards. So like this person, um, they're using a, a scripting language they built um, for solving advent of code. So like when you go to look at their advent of code, so this dot NOUL language. So if we go to day 6 and see what they did, it's like uh, this. Like there's the word window. Um,
Right. And what language is this?
it is the Newlith. Um, so they've wrote. It sounds like they've done like built other scripting languages, but wanted to build one specifically for Advent of Code. So instead of trying to like with the first one, we saw somebody trying to like fit TypeScript into this. So it's like, oh, it doesn't have any of those methods I need. So I'm going to use the prototype to give it the methods I need.
Right.
This person took a very different approach of like, the language doesn't exist. So I'm going to build out the language um, to be able to do that, um, which is far beyond my area of expertise. But
This is fantastic.
but being able to like hit those things, this like a minute 13 seconds to read the problem, which isn't easy. Like that takes a bit, and then to be able to write out the code for it, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. And immutable data structures. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna bother trying to learn it though.
Yeah, yeah, it might have a limited lifespan. Um,
Not a lot of industry usage, but I love it.
oh man. Yeah, should be pretty cool. I'm excited to see how it keeps on going. I think I'll be streaming on Tuesday for day 7, and then Wade will be streaming for day 8 on Thursday of next week. Um, and 5 minutes, so that's the time to beat. I won't match that, but maybe on stream I'll be able to solve it with. Maybe I'll get through the questions that time.
Read the
Um,
question hopefully in 5 minutes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Have it make sense. Get that understanding, and trying to narrow down which approach to do. Awesome. Cool. Well, I think we've solved it, and we've looked at some of the problems with the sliding window. So feel free, if you're still watching the stream, feel free to solve it and add us at Twitter or something to show us your sliding window solution. Um, Definitely interested in how other people are solving these. So yeah, pretty good. Again, just wanted to thank you, Ben, for coming on the stream and coming up with this awesome, beautiful solution. I think it might be the longest regular expression I've wrote, um, plus or minus a character or two. So yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to say, Ben?
No, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, that was great.
Cool. Okay. Well, with that, I'll let you guys go. Make sure to tune in same time Tuesday for me and my friend Aaron. Then also check us out Thursday next week as well. Again, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern or 2 p.m. Central, and we'll be solving 2 more Advent of Code problems. Thank you very much.